Okay, so good day everyone. We are Group 3 and today we are going to present Week 9 of Module 3, which is Agrarian Reform and its role in Philippine development. So this section focuses on the history of agrarian reform in the Philippines and its significance to Philippine development. Agrarian reform issues have long existed in the country despite the efforts of past administrations to address them. It looks into the programs and policies crafted by past administrations and assesses their contributions and shortcomings in terms of achieving effective, genuine agrarian reform policies in the Philippines.
What is agrarian reform? Agrarian reform refers to a government initiative aimed at redistributing agricultural land to farmers and landless workers to promote social justice and economic development. It involves changes in land ownership, tenancy arrangements, and support services such as credit, infrastructure, and technology to improve agricultural productivity. The goal of agrarian reform is to reduce rural poverty by ensuring that farmers have access to land and the necessary resources to cultivate it effectively. Central issue. Agrarian reform is crucial due to the issues of landlessness and land concentration, which impact the majority of the peasant population in the Philippines. Political and economic impact. Agrarian reform affects various aspects of society, from social to economic to political, and involves different groups with opposing interests. Various political groups, including the military and international organizations like the UN and World Bank, endorsed agrarian reform, though their views on its meaning differed.
Some people confuse agrarian reform with land reform, so we have provided the differences between the two of them. The definitions of land reform versus agrarian reform. Land reform focuses on redistributing land ownership or changing property rights, involves altering the bundle of rights over land, possession, use, management, income, generation, etc. Agrarian reform, a broader term encompassing land redistribution but also structural changes in rural areas. Agrarian reform is seen as revolving a transformation of rural relations and not just land ownership. Term widely used since the late 1950s to cover both legal and social aspects of land and rural development. Revolutionary versus liberal approaches to agrarian reform. Revolutionary agrarian reform, this approach focuses on a radical redistribution of land and structural changes in society, going beyond mere land reform to address broader societal issues. It challenges the existing political and economic order, aiming for a complete transformation of rural relations. Liberal and conservative reforms. Liberal approaches to agrarian reform often focuses on gradual changes such as improving tenancy rights or introducing productivity programs without redistributing land. Conservative reforms may focus on maintaining the status quo with minor adjustments.
Dominant conservative approach to agrarian reform. For the conservative approach in the Philippines, the Philippines is a prime example of the dominant conservative agrarian reform approach. State policies often reflect the struggle between political stability, maintaining property rights, and addressing peasant demands without upsetting economic structures. For the characteristics of the conservative approach, it is focused on introducing agrarian reform legislation in response to peasant demands, but aimed to preserve existing property rights. It advocated for minimal disturbance to land ownership and emphasized maintaining economic stability. And last, for the economic perspective, the conservative viewpoint holds that a healthy economy requires free market for land, labor, and capital without state intervention, including land redistribution. Poverty is seen as a result of low productivity, not an equal asset distribution. Belief that large estates managed with modern agribusiness practices are more efficient than small farms.
So next is for the liberal challenge or the liberal perspective. Here, the liberals argue that the focus of land ownership to the powerful and rich some leads to economic issues. large landowners often prioritize their cash flow or yung kita nila or the amount of money they are getting from their exports rather than maximizing food production for local consumption. This could lead to landless peasants or those with limited lands to struggle to survive, creating a cycle of poverty. Additionally, it also contributes to the inefficiency of how these lands are getting used, similar to what I mentioned earlier, where large landowners often focuses on which crops are skyrocketing on export prices instead of prioritizing the local needs of the community or the nation. That's why their first argument is that large landowners contribute to the rural poverty and inefficiency. Next is that the redistribution could reduce inequality, enhance productivity, and prevent revolution. Here, the liberals argue or believe that the distribution of lands could reduce inequality by giving land to the landless, enhance productivity since small farmers with a direct stake in their land are often more motivated to invest in their farms, thus increased output, and lastly, prevents revolution as it already addresses the issues and grievances of the rural poor. And lastly, the modern tech or the green revolution must accompany land reform, wherein small farmers will be given access to more effective irrigation techniques, high-yielding seeds, fertilizers, which can significantly boost agricultural and economic growth. So for the next is the liberal and versus conservative approach. As we mentioned earlier that yung liberal reformers see state intervention as essential for land redistribution and agricultural services. Next is that they argue that land redistribution to small farmers promotes productivity, while on the other hand, the conservative view rejects land reform, arguing it to disrupt economic stability, and believes that large estates are more efficient and landowners are more productive.
Now let's move on to the agrarian reform in line with the promise and the reality. So what is CARP? CARP, or the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, is a law in the Philippines that aims to distribute agricultural land to landless farmers and farm workers. So the goals of CARP is to give land to farmers to improve their lives, reduce poverty in rural areas, promote social justice by ending landowner dominance, and boost agricultural productivity by giving farmers land ownership. So CARP was created through the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law, or the CARL, of 1988 under President Corazon Aquino. It is intended to distribute 8.1 million hectares of land to farmers. So here are the CARP's performance 15 years after implementation. First one is 5.8 million hectares distributed to 2.7 million beneficiaries. Second one, despite the numbers, many see CARP as a failure because progress is too slow and ineffective. And third one, lack of state support, resources, and political commitment has weakened the program.
Now let's move on to the challenges and issues that CARP faced. So first, landlords and politicians resist reform, creating legal delays and bureaucratic problems. Second, lack of clear policies on land distribution and support services. Third, NGOs and farmer organizations play a big role in pushing for land reform, but they face strong opposition. And lastly, CARP is losing priority in the government's agenda, putting it at risk of being discontinued. So, why CARP still matters? Ignoring land reform could lead to more social unrest. NGOs and peasant groups continue to fight for agrarian reform despite government neglect. And lastly, agrarian reform is key to national development, but it needs renewed government commitment.
Now, let's move on to CARP under different presidents. Agrarian reform has been a long-standing issue in the Philippines, with various administrations attempting to implement policies to address land distribution and rural development. Today, we will examine how past presidents handled the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or CARP, analyzing their accomplishments and challenges. The CARP under President Cory Aquino. During President Cory Aquino's term, nearly 2 million hectares of land were covered under CARP. The government allocated 52.7 billion pesos, which was only 23% of the required budget. Additionally, 3,000 kilometers of rural road were constructed and 15,600 hectares of land were irrigated. To support rural farmers, 13 billion pesos was provided in credit loans. However, despite these efforts, CARP under Aquino faced significant challenges. Frequent leadership changes in the Department of Agrarian Reform, or DAR, led to inefficiencies in implementation. Public approval of the program dropped drastically from 53% in 1987 to only 16% by 1992. Government reports also exaggerated CARP's accomplishment, leading to conflicting statistics. Various NGOs and official reports questioned the actual success rate, raising doubts about whether the program truly benefited the farmers. Next slide, please. The CORP under President Fidel Ramos. Under President Ramos, agrarian reform took a different approach. Through the Bibingka strategy, a tripartite system involving government, NGOs, and farmers. This strategy allowed NGOs and people organizations, or POs, to play a greater role in land distribution, support services, and infrastructure development. By 1997, a total of 4.6 million hectares had been distributed, covering 57% of the total land reform scope. However, there were still significant issues. Reports surfaced about padded figures, double tilting, and multiple land titles, which created confusion and disputes.
CARP under Joseph Estrada. CARP extension and funding. In RA 8532 in 1998, extended CARP until 2008 with an additional 50 billion pesos. Estrada pledged to finish CARP in 4 years and focused on improving farmers' lives. Also met with hunger-striking farmers and imposed a temporary ban on land conversions. And here are the challenges and the realistic goals during his time. Estrada tasked DAR with distributing 3.46 million hectares, aimed to distribute 400,000 hectares per year, but faced budget cuts and resistance from landlords. Only 50% of the target was met, and land conversions continued despite the moratorium. And farmers lost confidence in Estrada's promises and slowed progress and issues. Now let's move on to CARP under Arroyo's leadership. She focused on land distribution and rural development. Her administration sought to continue and expand agrarian reform efforts initiated by the previous government. One major accomplishment was the signing of Republic Act number 9700 or CARPER in 2009, which extended CARP for another 5 years. Here are the challenges facing CARP during her time. Deep crisis due to lack of funding because Congress not delivering the required budget. Second, political appointment of Fernando Braganza and Roberto Pagtanganan as their secretaries. Both lack agrarian reform experiences. Third, rise of resistance. Commercial farms and private lands in Negros and Bicol faced landowner resistance, political unrest, and poverty. Fourth, faced distribution challenges in many areas due to high poverty and political instability. And lastly, low performance and misleading figures. Arroyo claimed 104,261 hectares distributed, but only 78% was private land, falling short of targets.
Issues with CARPER. CARPER was meant to distribute land to farmers, but it had critical flaws. First, farmers had to pay for the land, unlike genuine land reform programs. 98% of farmers couldn't afford the amortization fees. If farmers missed payments for 3 years, they lost their land and were permanently disqualified. Landowners had too much power. They could choose who got land, favoring relatives or loyal tenants. Farmers who demanded land could be criminalized. For the alternative, GARB, Union Agrarian Reform Bill, GARB House Bill 3059 HB 374, now HB 252, proposes a real solution. First, land is given to farmers for free. Second, farmers must till the land but cannot sell it to prevent land reconciliation. For the third one, provide support services, seeds, irrigation, fertilizers, tractors, infrastructure, training, and financial assistance. Why land must be free? If farmers are allowed to sell land, they often do because they lack support to sustain farming. Without financial aid, land just returns to rich landowners and corporations. Estimated cost of making a farmer productive: 40,000 in support services for farmer, at least 6 months before the first harvest. Globally, land distribution has been the fastest way for agrarian nations to develop.
Now let's move on to the last part of our discussion, which is the key takeaways. So first, agrarian reform in the Philippines has faced many challenges under different administrations, making land redistribution and farmer empowerment a slow and difficult process. Second, while each government introduced policies to address land ownership, several core issues have remained over time, such as landowner resistance, implementation problems, lack of farmer support, and political interference. Third, rural poverty in the Philippines is severe, affecting millions of Filipinos. Fourth, agrarian reform can solve rural poverty because it is meant to redistribute land to landless farmers and ensure fair wages for agricultural workers. Lastly, for farmers, agrarian reform is their only hope for a dignified life. Proper implementation could end rural poverty and give farmers a chance for a better future.